Hey, my friends, Grandmaster Boone Brown here. You know, there's not a day that goes by that people don't ask me questions about how to deal with certain situations as parents. Someone once said, I think it was probably me, why don't these things come with a manual? Now that I'm past being a parent of little ones, I can say without a doubt that it wouldn't do any good, as every kid is different to some extent. Every now and then I get someone who says that they are parenting like their parents did. Honestly, this horrifies me because we know so much more about psychology and child development today than we did back then. Would you trust a doctor who only used medical practices from the 1980s? Of course not. The good news is that good parenting practices are still teachable. So here are some pointers. I find it's always best to lead by example. In class, we demonstrate everything for the students. We monitor our own behavior and words so that we're always trying to be the best role models of enthusiasm and motivation. So, I'm going to tell you some practices that we use that can easily be used with your kids. And even if you're not a parent, these can still be used in your life. These are just simple leadership skills in most cases. All right, but first, there's an old Cherokee story about a grandfather and his grandson that goes like this. I have a fight going on inside me, the old man said. It's taking place between two wolves. One is bad. He is anger and envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, and self pity. He is guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The grandfather looked at the grandson and went on. The other embodies positive energy. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, trust, compassion, and faith. Both wolves are fighting to the death. The same fight is going on inside you and every other person too. The grandson took a moment to reflect on this. At last, he looked up at his grandfather and asked, Grandfather, which wolf will win? The old Cherokee gave a simple reply, the one you feed. And now another little story, maybe a little bit more modern day. Charles Barkley, who was a famous bad boy basketball player back in the day, after being criticized for doing something socially unacceptable, which he did a lot of, I don't remember what it was exactly, once said to the reporter, I am no one's role model. But what he didn't realize is that we are all someone's role model, whether we want to be or not. This is not an option. And this is why we must, first and foremost, lead by example. Be the embodiment of keeping it together: calmness, patience, coolness, compassion, enthusiasm, and kindness. Now, I'm not saying your child shouldn't see your emotions. They definitely should. A lack of emotion when a child does something bad doesn't show that you're calm and cool. It says that you're apathetic and that you don't care. Sometimes they need to see us get angry and show that we care, or be sad, or be overjoyed. But the trick is not to feed in the behavior of the bad wolf. I knew a parent once, he was actually a psychologist, who had a child who did terrible things. I heard many stories about the child, such as repeatedly turning off the TV while people were watching it and then would run out of the room laughing. He even pushed the TV off the stand and broke it once, just to get attention. I was there once when the boy repeatedly opened the front door of the house in the middle of winter, allowing snow to come in, just to be a pest. His father calmly said, Don't do that, son. I love you. The reality is that he just told the boy two entirely different things. He said, I love you, with his words, but his lack of reaction to the misbehavior said he was apathetic and didn't care. The child was misbehaving to get anyone to care. The dad was not wrong in not reacting overtly to the negative behavior. Doing so will just get more of the negative behavior. But sometimes when our kids do something dangerous or bad, they need to see us get upset and scared because of that behavior to show we care. We will revisit this scenario in a minute to see a potential better solution. In martial arts class, we have students of all ages who struggle with a multitude of things. Pivoting when they throw a roundhouse kick or side kick, chambering and recoiling techniques, keeping their knees bent when they're in stance, keeping their hands up, tightening their fists when they're punching, and the list could go on for days and days. If we do nothing but correct them constantly, and this is especially true coming from parents, then the kid is going to think that he is a disappointment, that he is terrible at this, and that he doesn't realize that he's going to improve yet. And he will think that we hate him. He will want to quit and will never succeed. Also, much of what they get wrong is not from lack of trying, it's from lack of development. No amount of correction can fix that yet. So what do? We make sure that we praise more than we correct. And in some cases, we never correct. The tactic works for parents too. So let's say that I have Jimmy on the training floor and his hands are too low, and I say, Jimmy, get your hands up. His response will be, yes, sir, and he will fix it. And I'm going to have to remind him about that 1,000 times. He is going to feel like he is taking emotional beating. Instead, I prefer to find something that I can sincerely praise. Wow, Jimmy, that stance is really looking stronger. Class, everyone stop for a minute and look at Jimmy's stance. See the knee bent, the toes pointed forward, and his hips in proper position? I want everyone to give Jimmy a double clap. Everyone double clap for Jimmy, and his subconscious self-esteem will soar. Every person in the class is going to want the same praise and work to have the same stance, and I didn't correct anyone. Now, I still need to remind Jimmy that his hands are too low. I can correct him personally, and now that I've praised him without concern for negatively impacting his self-esteem because he got such powerful and sincere praise. But the best way is to praise someone else for the awesome hand position. Guys, Jimmy had that great stance. Look over here at Sarah's awesome hand position. Even when she kicks, she keeps those hands up in position so she can be safe, punch faster, and punch with more accuracy. Everyone give her a double clap too. In a matter of moments, without slowing down class, I improved everyone in earshot, including Jimmy. And on top of it all off, those two kids, Jimmy and Sarah, are now far more motivated and engaged. It's going to almost guarantee that they make their black belt now. Now, we have to apply this at home. All right, so I say, Brennan, I appreciate you getting your lunchbox and your coat. Great job taking care of those things. Give me a high five. Boom. Now, what is he going to do tomorrow when it's time to go to school? What is his sister going to do? What am I going to praise in her tomorrow? Getting the picture? You are a treasure hunter, praising sincerely those moments of great behavior. Now, don't overdo it, though. It will become meaningless, and always make sure it's sincere. They need to trust you, and if you're lying about something that they're not really doing very well, they will not trust you. But what about horrible behavior or temper tantrums? Well, first off, what drives that behavior? Keep in mind your child has a very, very small frontal lobe. That's the part of the brain for rational thought. It doesn't fully develop until we're in our mid-20s. They aren't usually misbehaving because they're bad. It's not conscious maliciousness. I say usually, it can happen, but that's seldom. And even if it is the case, the same fix will apply. All right, a typical child rumbles through life driven by pure emotions, discovering the world, seeking new experiences. They're all about the fun, hoping for tasty snacks, and of course, seeking power. Here is the most important thing that I will say in this video, and never lose track of this. Listen close. They are driven by their subconscious. So when they do something and get attention for it, they will feel powerful and will then do that something more. If it's a good thing and they get praised for it, they will do it more. If it's a bad thing and they get a dramatic response, even punishment, it's still powerful and they will do it more. We must feed the right wolf and never feed the wrong one if we can help it. So the child who opened the door and let the snow in to get a response, what would have been a better response from the parent? Little kids who are doing things that we must stop, like drawing on the wall, running around in public, trying to hurt a pet, are best dealt with by using redirection. An example I've used hundreds of times while teaching martial arts class to preschoolers. A child is spinning on his butt. We literally call them butt spinners in the martial arts industry. It's a real thing. I accidentally knock over a stack of pads. Joey, can you help me stack these up, please? Joey helps me, and now I have a reason to praise him, and he's not spinning on his butt anymore. Now I'm going to get more of the helpful Joey and less of the spinny Joey. I make sure to follow up afterwards too. But first, when the kid opens the door in wintertime, the best response is to ignore it, close the door obviously, and then get him doing something else, playing cards, helping stack something, joining you for some jumping jacks. Ask if he can do more push-ups than you. Anything other than reacting to the open door, and then praise him for it. Later in both situations, you must address the situation, but not now. That feeds the wrong wolf. Later you would say, you know, as one of my best students, I need you to show the other students how to act when they are here. Would you mind not spinning on your bottom like that anymore? Can you keep yourself from doing that in the future for me? And then high five and praise them for it. And for the winter loving's door opener, okay, all you have to do is say something like, Jimmy, earlier you opened the door and it's really cold outside, and we have to pay a lot of money for the heat in the house, and it costs me money when you do that. Would you help me out and not do that again? And then praise them for agreeing and move on. High fives work. So, what about temper tantrums? Look, kids are barely on this side of the animal kingdom. They act on instinct and emotion. Their brains are developing, and rational thought is overridden by rampant runaway emotions. You cannot rationalize away your own feelings when you're overwhelmed by grief or joy. Why would you expect them to be able to do that? Being angry at a kid who's throwing a temper tantrum is like being angry at a fish for swimming. Blaming the parents for it is just as bad. Anyone who blames the parents is obviously not a parent yet. All of us who are parents will feel for you when your kid has a meltdown. Believe me. So, what do you do? First, look at when and where the tantrums usually happen and just avoid that situation if you can. Grocery stores and department stores are notorious for these things since kids see something they want, they're in a confined cart, and feel pretty powerless and unimportant. I can't imagine anyone being able to completely avoid taking their kids shopping. It's going to happen. But there are things we can do to help avoid the drama. And so here's an idea that I've used that works. Gather 10 things they really love. Little things, cars, action figures, snacks, and put them in a clear Ziploc bag. 10 things. And then say, we're going to the store. When we come out and get in the car, I'm going to give you this bag of cool things. I'm excited to give you this. But if you act up, I must take an item out of the baggie. I hope I get to give you everything in the baggie. Wording it this way makes it so that you aren't the bad guy here. Instead, their actions have consequences, and they are learning this. The hard part is that you must remove an item without saying anything or reacting and put it into your pocket or purse when they act up. You also must give them the Ziploc in the end, no matter what. Hopefully there is something in it, but even if there isn't, you must give it to them. This is how they learn. It is a reward system, not a punishment system. They may have a meltdown when you remove an item, and especially when you give it to them, give them the baggie, and the one they want isn't in there. But you must be strong, and this lesson will end up helping in the future. Not following through with consequences is the quickest road to worse behavior and to your child never trusting you. Accountability is key here. Now, if the child is old enough, engage them in a game. Can you help me find the can with the red label? Point at any can you see that has a red label, please. Now they are engaged, and make sure to praise them when they finally go down the soup aisle and they find the right soup for you. Then just pick something different and keep them busy, engaged, and praise them for being helpful. If they have a serious 3-alarm meltdown in the store, or when I should say, if you must, cut the trip short. Take them to the car and let the tantrum run its course with as little reaction as possible. Sooner or later, they will regain control. Then you can go back and try again. This is a long battle, but if you do it without feeding into their emotions, you get change for the better. All right, now what about hitting? Present yourself as a very calm adult first and foremost. Make sure you have a calm voice, a calm face, a calm body. It will help reduce the dramatic feeding of this situation. Second, set a simple and firm limit, but now is not the time to lecture. They aren't hearing it and it won't help. We'll do that later. I'm not going to let you hit me, or I'm not going to let you hit, and then remove them from the situation while they're small enough that you can still do so. When they are 15 years old and you haven't set this limit, you have a whole different problem on your hands. So do it now. All right, now once the situation is less dramatic and they're listening, then help them see how to appropriately get what they want. If you want the toy, then you use your words and ask for it. We don't hit unless our life is in danger. Now, reward systems are the key. In martial arts, if you work hard, practice diligently, you earn stripes on your belt and eventually a new belt. Striving for excellence has a payoff. When my kids were in the early mobile phone age, they earned their phones every morning, provided the day before they did 4 things. 1, do your chores. 2, do your homework. 3, practice martial arts. And 4, treat the family with love and respect. Now, keep in mind, we didn't take their phone away. They just didn't earn it. It's literally the same thing, but not to the subconscious mind. So if I say, "Oh, Sarah, do you think speaking to your mother like that is treating her with love and respect?" Then in the morning, she doesn't get her phone. I'm sure you can earn it for tomorrow with better behavior today. I'm not the bad guy here. Her actions have consequences. Now, maybe the phone isn't that big of a deal for your child yet. When mine were little, they wanted a story at bedtime from daddy. They had to earn it. Maybe for your kids, it's earning screen time. Always award something, but make it short. 10 minutes, set a timer, and they can earn more for doing 4 things you designate. Remember, it's how you word it. It's never, that's it, I'm taking away your screen time. Instead, word it like they are earning it, and you are sad that their actions won't allow them to earn more. Oh, Sammy, I'll be really sad if you don't earn that extra 10 minutes on your tablet for cleaning your room. Should you spank? Well, let's think about it. You tell them you love them, you feed them, hold them, kiss them, keep them safe, and then you hit them. What message are you sending? They thought they could trust you. They thought you loved them, and then you hit them? I hope you never spank your children. Instead, create a timeout corner and use it. Timeout is a place we go to calm ourselves and consider our behavior. Sometimes parents might even say, I need to calm down. I'm going to go take a timeout and go sit in the chair. It was not uncommon for our kids as toddlers to realize they were angry and put themselves in timeout. However, when kids are really little, they may not be old enough to even understand that what they did was dangerous, like running into the road. Physical correction is best if it is removal from the situation, such as timeout. But physical correction may also be a smack on the bottom when they are not yet old enough for you to explain that a car will flatten them into jelly. Putting them in timeout will help you calm down as well, and it won't break their trust like hitting them will. I prefer a commanding tone in a timeout to let me cool down more than them. But I think a spank can illustrate how important this is, how important they are to you, and how scared you were for their safety in that moment. Okay, parents, so to finish off, the most important thing is to lead by example. The second is to stay calm and be the grown-up. Show them you are human. Let them see you emotional in your joy, sorrow, fear, occasional anger. But never forget, they don't miss a thing. Nothing will train you to be a better person than learning to be a great parent. Third thing, make sure that you follow through with your consequences and hold yourself accountable. All right, do this job right and you can change the world through them. Grandmaster out.